Peter Parker was never supposed to become a hero. He was just a lonely kid from Queens who wanted to feel important. Before the mask, before the web swinging, and before the city knew his name, Peter lived with his Aunt May and Uncle Ben. His parents were gone, and although May and Ben loved him like their own son, Peter still grew up feeling different. At school, he was quiet, awkward, and constantly picked on. He was smarter than almost everyone around him, but nobody really cared. To the other students, Peter was not impressive. He was just the skinny science kid who was easy to embarrass. Peter spent most of his life watching other people get the things he wanted: confidence, popularity, respect. He especially wanted the attention of the girl he liked, but he never believed someone like her would notice someone like him. Then one ordinary school trip changed everything. Peter and his classmates visited a scientific demonstration involving radiation. While everyone watched the experiment, a small spider was exposed to the radiation and fell onto Peter's hand. It bit him. At first, Peter thought nothing of it. He felt sick and dizzy, but the pain quickly disappeared. On his way home, however, Peter began noticing that something was wrong. His vision had improved. His body felt stronger. His reflexes were faster than they had ever been. When a car nearly hit him, Peter jumped out of the way and somehow landed on the side of a building. His fingers stuck to the wall as if gravity no longer applied to him. Peter Parker, the kid nobody respected, suddenly had the power to do almost anything. He could climb walls. He could lift incredible amounts of weight. He could sense danger before it happened. His body moved faster than his own thoughts. For the first time in his life, Peter did not feel weak. He felt special. But Peter did not immediately think about becoming a hero. He thought about himself. After years of being ignored and humiliated, he finally saw a chance to get attention. He created a mask and costume, built mechanical web shooters, and entered a wrestling competition, offering money to anyone who could survive in the ring. The organizers laughed when they saw him. Then Peter easily defeated a man much larger than him. The crowd went wild. For once, people were cheering for Peter Parker, even though they did not know it was him beneath the mask. A television producer saw his performance and offered him a chance to become famous. Peter began appearing as the mysterious Spider-Man. He was no longer the weak kid from Queens. He had money. He had attention. He had power. And Peter believed he had finally escaped the person he used to be. One night, while Peter was leaving the studio, a thief ran past him. A security guard shouted for Peter to stop the man. Peter could have done it easily. It would have taken almost no effort. Instead, he stepped aside and allowed the thief to escape. When the guard became angry, Peter did not care. He told him that catching criminals was not his job. For Peter, it felt like a small decision. The world had never helped him. So why should he help the world? He had spent years being treated like he did not matter. Now that he had power, he only wanted to use it for himself. Peter went home believing the moment was already behind him. But later that night, everything changed. Police cars surrounded his neighborhood. Peter learned that a man had broken into his home. The attacker had shot Uncle Ben. Peter rushed inside, but it was too late. The man who raised him, protected him, and treated him like a son was dying on the floor. Uncle Ben had never needed Peter to be popular or powerful. He loved him when he was still the shy kid nobody else noticed. And now he was gone. Filled with anger, Peter put on his costume and chased the killer through the city. He followed the police to an abandoned warehouse and confronted the man inside. Peter wanted revenge. He wanted the person responsible for his pain to suffer. But when the criminal turned toward him, Peter froze. He recognized his face. It was the same thief who had run past him at the television studio. The same man Peter could have stopped. The same man Peter allowed to escape because he believed it was not his responsibility. Peter had spent his entire life believing that his problems were caused by other people. The students who bullied him, the people who ignored him, the world that made him feel small. But in that warehouse, Peter was forced to face something worse. Uncle Ben was dead because Peter had the power to help and chose not to use it. The tragedy of Spider-Man is not simply that Peter lost someone he loved. It is that he knew he could have prevented it. If he had reached out his hand, the thief would never have escaped. If he had made one different decision, Uncle Ben might still be alive. Peter could fight the criminal, but he could never undo what happened. His strength could not bring Uncle Ben back. His speed could not return him to the moment before the shooting. His spider sense could warn him about future danger, but it could not warn him about the consequences of his own selfishness. From that night forward, Peter understood the lesson that would define the rest of his life. With great power comes great responsibility. It was not simply advice, it became a punishment Peter gave himself. Spider-Man was born from guilt. Every criminal Peter stopped became another attempt to make up for the one criminal he allowed to escape. Every person he saved became another person who would not suffer the way Aunt May suffered. Peter did not become Spider-Man because being a hero was exciting. He became Spider-Man because he could never forgive himself for the night he failed to be one. This is why Peter keeps fighting even when the city hates him. It is why he goes out when he is injured, exhausted, or afraid. It is why he sacrifices school, jobs, friendships, and relationships. Whenever Peter considers walking away, he remembers Uncle Ben. He remembers that having the ability to help makes choosing not to help a decision of its own. But becoming Spider-Man did not fix Peter's life. In many ways, it destroyed it. He constantly had to lie to the people closest to him. Aunt May believed he was unreliable because he disappeared without explanation. His friends believed he did not care because he missed important moments. The people he loved were placed in danger simply because they were connected to him. Peter could save strangers across New York, but he often could not protect the people standing closest to him. He was always late, always leaving, always apologizing. He watched relationships fall apart because he could never fully explain where he had been. To the public, Spider-Man was an incredible hero flying between buildings. To Peter, the mask was a reminder that his real life would always come second. Some heroes choose their mission because they believe they were destined for greatness. Peter chooses his mission because he believes he owes the world a debt that can never be fully repaid. That is what makes his origin so sad. The spider bite gave Peter everything he thought he wanted. It made him strong. It made him impressive. It gave him a chance to finally be noticed. But those powers also created the worst moment of his life. If Peter had never been bitten, he could not have stopped the thief. He would not have blamed himself. He could have mourned Uncle Ben as an innocent victim. Instead, Peter has to live knowing that the power to prevent the tragedy was already in his hands. Spider-Man became a symbol of hope to millions of people, but beneath the mask is still the frightened teenager from Queens standing in a warehouse, staring at the man he chose not to stop. Peter Parker does not fight because he believes he can save everyone. He fights because he knows what happens when he saves no one. And no matter how many lives Spider-Man protects, there will always be one life he could not save. The man who taught him how to become a hero, Uncle Ben.